Welcome back to Teen Talk, and today we're here with your favorite teacher, Miss Sharpe. We're just going to be asking her some questions about teaching and like her personal life, kind of, just to get an inside scoop. So the first question is, what inspires you to be a teacher?
So a long time ago, I had a class in high school, and a man came in and talked about like his experience growing up and being in different like facilities and educational facilities. He also had cerebral palsy, so he talked about his experience with that, and he always felt like he wasn't treated with the kindness and respect that he deserved. And so when I heard him talk, it made me really want to go into some kind of field where I was helping people. And I always have liked reading, so being an English teacher was something I wanted to do.
Okay, so that was your plan when you graduated high school? You wanted to go into the teaching field?
No.
No?
So when I graduated high school, I went to school and I studied communication arts first and journalism. So I thought I was going to be a journalist and write stories for like a newspaper. I did like a little bit of experience there, and then when I graduated, I worked for before I graduated, I worked for the Plymouth Whalers. They were a hockey team, a local hockey team. I didn't really like that much, doing like some of their like written work and working with their community relations department. And then I went into real estate. So I sold new construction houses. So we built houses for Toll Brothers. And when I was doing that, I realized like I want to go back to school and kind of do what I really wanted to do, which was teach.
Okay, so was your first option was Bloomfield High School, or was that like just a job that popped up?
So it popped up, but I when I first started teaching here, I taught in the special education department because I have my master's degree in autism spectrum disorders. So I had just come back from England because I taught in England first.
Oh, wow.
And I was looking for a job, and this came up, and I interviewed, and I got the job. And my first 5 years here, I taught special ed. So I taught some classes, like reading classes. And then I switched over to gen ed, and so I've been teaching just regular gen ed English classes ever since.
Teaching in England, how was that? Like, was it different than teaching here?
Yeah. So students, like at age 16, they take a test. And it's called a GCSE. And so basically by your junior year, you take this test, and if you pass all the different areas, you can either choose to leave school when you're 16 and maybe do like a trade or go to like a specialized school, or you can go on and study 2 subjects that you're really interested in from the age of 16 to 18. Wow. So I taught kids who were of all different ages for their GCSE, and then I had about 5 kids who were studying English like as their like intended specialty. They wanted to go to college and study English.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite subject is English,
Yeah.
I'm guessing? Okay. What are your opinions on technology? Like how do you think technology has developed? Has it helped, or has it made society worse?
Definitely think it's done both, right? Because there are obviously a lot of things that technology has led to, like advancements in engineering or medicine and things like that. Do you mean like just in education?
Education and like
the world?
Yeah, the world.
I think that it's had a really negative impact, like socially and mental health wise. I know, like obviously, I could talk like about AI and how that's in schools and like that's taking over a lot of stuff. But I think the biggest thing is that we're all so isolated now, and everybody's just on their phone all the time.
Yeah.
And I think it's made people, I think it's like really contributed to like loneliness and depression because nobody's like interacting anymore. And then you're always available too. Like you're constantly available and you're expecting information like right away.
Like how the bullying, it wasn't like how it is now. Like back then you could get away from it, and like now it's just like everywhere. You can't get away from it because when you go home, you're on your phone, you're on social media. These people can contact you, and it's just like
It's
know,
constant.
It's nowhere to escape it, kind of.
Right, right.
Yeah. Do you think technology has like an impact on a child's brain?
Yeah, for sure. You notice, like, I think, like, the ADHD rates have gone up quite a bit because everyone's expecting, kids that get used to that, like, quick access of information. And, like, when they're in school, we can't, like, teachers cannot be entertaining at all, as much as, a video or as much as a live stream. So I think that kids get used to, like, being entertained, but they also get used to having information, like, all these images flashing in front of them at one time. And so that really impacts, like, their ability to learn, especially little guys. Like, they're so used to everything being really quick and everything being available and being entertainment. And then, it's hard because life isn't always like entertainment,
Yeah. So how old were you when you got your first phone?
Oh my gosh. I was 18.
18?
Yeah.
Okay.
18. It had no texting.
No texting?
No texting. It was just like, I remember it was bright yellow. It was like a yellow brick of like a phone. And you could only call out on it. Like there was no texting. I think when I was in college, when I was about 20 or 21 was the first time I had a Nokia. It was a teeny tiny, you could change the covers on them. And it had like games on it, like Snake. And you could but like even texting was very, very minimal.
That's cool. Because I feel like with our generation, it's just like everything is so much. It's not everything is so much worse, but I feel like technology has contributed to a lot of things that our generation deals with.
Yeah.
Mental-wise, school-wise, everything. I feel like it influences a lot of kids to do things that like they usually wouldn't do, but they see other people doing it. So it's just like, if they're doing it, maybe I should do it because maybe I'll look cool,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What is something you wish you knew at our age that you know now?
I think going off of what you said, I think that when I was your age, I cared a lot about what other people thought of me. And I know for you guys, it's 100 times worse because, like you just said, everything's online.
Yeah.
And you can basically curate your image online, right? But I think if I would have any advice, or if I could tell a teenager, like, you just have to be you, like, unapologetically, and not think about what everyone else is thinking, because they're also focused on their own selves, right? Because we're so, like, isolated so often that I think we always think so much about what other people care, and I think you just have to be you and not care so much.
Definitely. I feel like a lot of the times we think that everyone's eyes are on us, when in reality it's like, okay, there's some eyes, but they don't pay that much attention to like every move that we're making. So, you know, I feel like a lot of times it's just mental games you play with yourself. So, what is something you wish your students knew more about you?
I think I'm pretty open with my students. I talk about my own experience in relation to like the stories that we're reading in class, or if they have any problems. So I think I'm pretty open. I don't know. I can't think of something that I guess I would just want them to know that I actually really care about them and like where they go in life and what they learn. And I want them to learn. Like, I don't want them to just sit in class and be on their phone all the time. Like, I want them to have some type of experience. So, yeah, I think that I care. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything you would wish to change in the schooling system?
Like the American schooling system?
Well, American and England, because you've been in both.
Oh, in England, okay. I just think, I think sometimes we push so much with like testing and, this is so important. And I think that grades, like the number and the letter is so important, and like the number and the score that you get on the test. And I think what I wish would change is that like it was actually based on like learning. Like, I think that like our like older generations have done a disservice because we make you guys think that school is just about getting the grade and the score. but like life is about like actually learning what you're doing. And so everyone's so concerned about getting like an A, or I got 3 points off. Why did I get this off? Or what's this and that? Rather than actually learning the actual material.
Yeah.
Because I saw this TikTok video and it was like, God help us when it's this generation of doctors are all going to be like chat GPTing everything, right? And like if that's the case, like we all know, like outside of this of education, you have to actually know what you're talking about, right? And so, and we don't get, like in life, you don't get grade, like even as a teacher in my job, I don't get grades or anything. A doctor doesn't get grade, like a lawyer doesn't get graded. It's all about actually knowing what you're doing. So I wish that we got rid of grades and it was just, I don't know how, but it was just what you learned, not the number or the letter.
Because grades, I feel like grades definitely, it's like a pressure. As soon as you see your grade drop, it's just like you have all these thoughts going through your mind, like, oh, what can I do? And I feel like a lot of the times when we're learning new material, it's like, okay, we're preparing for the test. We're not actually putting our minds to the material and trying to learn outside of it. Like, how can I do this and this and this? It's more of, okay, what is on the test? What do I need to get down to get a good grade on this test? So, yeah, it's good. What is the school of your dreams? If you could build a school, how would it look?
Well, my favorite place in the world is Finland.
Finland?
Yeah. And they have the best education system in the entire world. And they only go to school for half a day.
Oh.
And so they're at school for half a day and they're learning, and then they go home in the afternoon and they're especially the older kids. Like the younger kids, it's different. But the older kids, they're learning something that they are actually really invested in. So there are kids who really want to be like electricians. So they're learning, they're maybe going to a place to learn those skills. Or they I think, kind of figure out what they want to do a little bit earlier so that they're not taking these classes that might not matter to them in their future. So if somebody really wants to be an electrician, they could still be in high school and learning some of that academic stuff in the morning, but then they're learning the practical stuff in the afternoon. Kind of like OSTC in a way. But even like the kids who really want to study, if they wanted to be a professor and study like medieval literature, then they're able to do that too, right? And they're doing that with like the support of their family and the support of the school. So I think and there are no standardized tests in Finland, and there's nothing like that. So I would want something like that, like what Finland has.
A lot of the times when you start high school, you don't really know where you're going. You just like try to graduate. And I feel like a class, like there's some classes here that give us opportunities to explore the careers that we want. But when we're, just our regular classes, they don't really teach us outside of working outside the system, like the system, working a 9 to 5, barely making enough to feed your family and stuff like that. So I think it's a great thing.
Like college is not for everyone, right? But there are so many other training programs that you can do. Like when England's kind of similar, where they study something and then they go on and they can get extra like training in it. So when my husband, who's from England, did his, he went and he thought he wanted to be a chef. And so he went and he studied culinary arts and he did all of that and he has a certificate in that. But then later on in life, he decided, I don't want to do this anymore. And in America, you would have to go back to school and get a degree and do 4 years, and people don't want to do that. Exactly. So then they stay in a career that they don't love anymore because they don't want to have to go through all that extra work. In England, they don't make you do that. So he decided he wanted to be an accountant. So he just had to do he was paid, and he did like a practical, like a apprenticeship kind of a thing for a little bit, and then he became an accountant. Wow. So I think we make things really hard, and it could be much easier, on people, and not always making it seem like college is the only answer, or if you don't love what you're doing, you're stuck. You can't get out of it.
Definitely.
You should be able to go do some type of program somewhere so you don't have to go through 4 years of school again.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure with the high school and college and stuff. It's almost as if like they push that if you don't go to like go to college, you're gonna like fail in life. That's the narrative that they create. But what's your favorite go-to karaoke song? You know, getting
Ooh, karaoke. Do you know who Queen is, the band?
no,
Do you know like the Bohemian Rhapsody? Like,
no.
I'm not gonna sing it, but it's got all these different voices, and it's fun to do all the different voices.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely, we're gonna have to add a clip in there. Do you have any hobbies outside of? I think I already asked that.
No, you didn't.
Okay. Any hobbies or interests outside of teaching?
Yeah, I like to do yoga, and I like to take hikes, go outside. I have a 12-year-old pit bull, and we go out for lots of walks. And I live, like, there's a nice nature park, and you can walk through it, and like, do a little hiking trail. I like to read a lot, and I like to travel when I can.
So what book are you reading right now?
I am reading a book called, I just finished Carrie by Stephen King. So I really like horror books, and I really like Stephen King. So I'm trying to work my way through a lot of Stephen King books. So I really, I've been reading a lot of Stephen King. Carrie, and then I read, what's the other one that's famous? I mean, there's a lot of famous ones. Salem's Lot. They're both by Stephen King.
What are they about?
Salem's Lot is about vampires. And then Carrie is about a high school girl who gets bullied, but she has telekinesis powers. And it's that famous where she's at prom and they're bullying her and they put like pig's blood on her. But then she yeah.
So it sounds like an interesting book.
Yeah.
Might have to check it out. But how does teaching at WBHS impact your everyday life? Like, is there anything that you go through here that impacts your life at home?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was just telling my second hour this morning, we were talking about homegoing, and it's a book that we've read, and I think that I've learned so much just like being around like such a diverse group of students that in the years I've taught here, that has opened my mind to a lot. That, I think it's really important to learn from everybody and learn from everyone's stories. But working at Westwood, it's been great. I've loved. This is my 14th year here, so it's been a nice 14 years.
Do you plan on going anywhere else? Do you want to do anything else in your life, or?
Yeah, at some point, we'll move back to England, where my husband's from. But yeah, I don't know if I'll teach there again, or maybe I've always wanted to kind of just do, like in England, I like horror-y stuff and a lot of like ghost stuff and that kind of thing. So in England, they do have a lot of ghost tours. And so every place you go in England, it's like the most haunted because it's so old. And so I was like, I want to just be a tour guide, like somewhere, and do these little cool, because you go and you like pay and you go and you sign up for it. And then this like person dressed up in all this costume will tell you all the ghost stories of the town and walk you around. And I'm like, I want to do that. I think I could do that for sure.
It sounds fun. It does really sound something. Yeah. What's the most rewarding part about teaching?
I think when, because of the nature of the class that I teach with multicultural lit, I think when people learn something about a culture that's not their own, when, they're able to respect a culture that's not their own, or even learn more about their own culture that they didn't know previously, I think that that's a great thing. Because I think, the practical, sure, I love teaching literature and reading and writing, but I know people aren't going to go into that. But I think if you can relate and come and meet people, and in your life you're going to work with people who are of all diverse backgrounds, and whether it be religiously, racially, whether it be gender identity, if you can come to the table with respect and with some type of knowledge, I think that gets you really far in life. So I think that's one of my favorite things about teaching, is seeing that people are a little bit more respectful sometimes when they take my class, hopefully. That's my goal, at least. I don't know if it always happens, but it's the goal.
So would you say that teaching has opened you to more cultures and being more open-minded?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. Ms. Sharpe, for
Thank you.
answering these questions.
No problem.
And yeah, we'll get back to you guys.